Welcome to Ayur Times, another podcast focusing today on, well, liver health. It's an organ we don't always think about, maybe. But it's truly an unsung hero, doing over 500 vital things for us, not just detox, but metabolism, storing nutrients. It really keeps us going, often totally silently.
That's a great way to think about it. And it is incredibly resilient. The liver's famous for its ability to regenerate, to heal itself. But that resilience isn't infinite. It has limits. Despite that power, some really common everyday habits can, well, significantly harm it over time. And this can lead to serious stuff: fatty liver, cirrhosis, even liver failure. So it's strong, yes, but definitely not invincible.
Exactly. And that's really our mission for this Ayur Times podcast. We want to cut through some of the noise and look at 10 specific habits, things that the latest scientific literature shows can silently damage your liver. So let's unpack these. Are you ready to maybe find out what could be impacting your liver health without you realizing? Okay, let's start with maybe the most well-known one, the one people often link directly to liver problems: excessive alcohol consumption. It seems like the obvious place to begin. What's actually happening inside?
Yeah, it's definitely a crucial starting point. When you drink alcohol, your liver does the heavy lifting of metabolizing it. But that process, well, it creates some nasty byproducts. Acetaldehyde is the main one. Think of it as genuinely toxic. It triggers inflammation, oxidative stress, sort of like internal rusting in the liver cells. And it also leads directly to fat building up in the liver. Yeah. So over time, this constant attack really adds up. There's strong scientific literature, like a big 2020 review, that directly links long-term heavy drinking to alcoholic liver disease, or ALD. That includes fatty liver, hepatitis, fibrosis, which is that dangerous scarring, and eventually cirrhosis. And sadly, ALD is still a leading cause of liver disease worldwide, a huge problem.
That really paints a picture of the liver working overtime and the toxic fallout. Okay, let's shift to something maybe less obvious, something people might think is perfectly safe. Overusing medications, especially common ones like paracetamol or acetaminophen. How can something so accessible be risky?
It's a really critical point because it's used so widely. Now, paracetamol is safe and effective at the recommended doses. I have to stress the recommended doses. But when you take too much, the liver gets overwhelmed trying to process it. Its detoxification pathways basically get swamped, and a toxic substance builds up, directly damaging liver cells. That's why, research like a study in hepatology back in 2019 points to paracetamol overdose as the leading cause of acute liver failure in many places. And the danger is even higher if you mix it with alcohol, or if you already have some liver issue. Your liver's already working harder. So the absolute key takeaway: stick to the dose on the label, always, and be really careful about mixing it with alcohol.
Right, it's so easy to just take an extra one thinking it'll help more, but clearly a bad idea. Okay, moving on. Another one that seems innocent: processed sugar, especially fructose. I mean, lots of us have a sweet tooth. Do we really connect that directly to our liver?
Oh, absolutely. The link is, well, it's very strong and often overlooked. Diets high in sugar, particularly things with high fructose corn syrup, are heavily linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. And fructose is particularly sneaky. See, unlike glucose, which your whole body can use, fructose is processed almost only by the liver. So when you have too much, the liver converts that extra fructose into fat. Right there, hepatic fat accumulation. This also fuels insulin resistance, which makes things worse: higher blood sugar, more fat storage. It's a vicious cycle for the liver. Yeah. There was a detailed paper in the Journal of Hepatology in 2018 that really laid out how high fructose intake drives NAFLD. It's not just empty calories, it's about how the liver handles that specific type of sugar. Wow, that is eye-opening, especially since high fructose corn syrup is in so many things we don't even think of as sweet. So it's about reading labels, not just avoiding cake. Okay, beyond diet, what about movement, or lack of it? Sedentary lifestyle and obesity. How do they tie in? They tie in significantly. It's a huge factor, and a growing one. Lack of physical activity and carrying excess weight are major contributors to NAFLD. And NAFLD isn't just, a little fat in the liver. It's a spectrum. It can progress to NAGIS, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. That means inflammation and cell damage. And then potentially to cirrhosis, that irreversible scarring. Being sedentary leads to more visceral fat, the fat around your organs. And this directly increases fat in the liver and messes with your liver enzyme levels. Research, like a 2021 review in Nature Reviews, Gastroenterology and Hepatology, clearly shows this connection. Inactivity directly harms the liver's function. So yeah, moving your body is crucial for your liver too.
It really shows how everything's connected. Okay, speaking of lifestyle, what about smoking? We know it's terrible for lungs, heart, but the liver. How does smoking impact it?
Yeah, smoking's reach is wide, and the liver is definitely affected. It's not immune at all. Those toxic chemicals in cigarette smoke get into your bloodstream, right? And they travel everywhere. including the liver. Once there, they cause oxidative stress, that rusting effect again, and inflammation. This constant low-grade inflammation can make existing liver problems worse. And research, like a 2019 study in Liver International, shows smoking actually speeds up fibrosis, the scarring process. Plus, it significantly increases the risk of liver cancer, especially if you already have a chronic liver condition, so it's a direct hit, not just a side effect.
That's a connection I bet many people just don't make. Okay, let's narrow down the diet aspect again. Beyond sugar, what about eating too much red meat or processed meat? Is that a concern?
It is, yes, and it's something research is looking at more closely, especially for people who might already have risk factors like obesity or insulin resistance. Some scientific literature, including a 2020 cohort study, found a link between high intakes of red and processed meats, things like bacon, sausage, deli meats, and more liver fat and inflammation. It might be due to the saturated fat, maybe compounds formed during cooking, or even the type of iron in red meat. These can all promote that oxidative stress and inflammation. This can even show up in blood tests as higher liver enzymes, like ALT and AST, which signal liver stress or injury. So while some red meat might be okay, too much, especially the processed kinds, definitely adds burden to the liver.
Seems like lots of subtle things add up to stress the liver. Okay, switching gears. What about skipping meals or crash dieting? People often do that for weight loss. How does that affect the liver?
Yeah, sounds counterintuitive, right? But extreme dieting or skipping meals can actually stress the liver quite a bit. For one thing, it can mess with your bile flow, which is needed for digestion and getting rid of toxins. That can even lead to gallstones sometimes. But more importantly, research, like a 2016 study in obesity reviews, showed crash dieting causes a really rapid release of fat from your body stores. While you might think, great, losing fat, this sudden flood of fatty acids arriving at the liver can actually make inflammation worse, especially if you already have AFLD. The liver just gets overwhelmed trying to process it all, so it can backfire.
That's fascinating. So steady, balanced eating is much better for the liver too. Okay, this next one might catch people off guard. Overusing herbal supplements. We often think natural means safe. Is that true for the liver?
That is a really dangerous assumption, unfortunately. Natural does not automatically mean safe, especially for the liver, because it has to process everything. Many herbal and dietary supplements, even common ones, have been linked to liver injury. We're talking things like kava, sometimes used for anxiety, comfrey, and even high doses of green tea extract can be toxic to the liver, hepatotoxic. There's a growing body of scientific literature on this. A 2022 review in Hepatology Communications highlighted that herbal-induced liver injury, HILI, is becoming a bigger part of overall drug-induced liver injury cases. It's really crucial to talk to your doctor about any supplements you're taking. Just because it comes from a plant doesn't mean it's harmless for your liver.
Such an important warning with supplements being so popular. All right, something really basic now. Hydration. Or rather, not getting enough water. We know water is essential. But how does dehydration specifically impact the liver?
Water is absolutely fundamental. Think of it as the body's internal flushing system and, well, essential solvent for chemical reactions. Your liver needs water to function efficiently, especially for detoxification. All those complex processes need fluid. So if you're chronically dehydrated, the liver's ability to neutralize and flush out toxins is impaired. It puts more strain on the liver cells, the hepatocytes. While maybe there aren't tons of studies saying X level of dehydration causes Y specific liver disease, broader research, like a 2020 article in Nutrients, shows hydration status impacts overall cell function, including liver metabolism. So yeah, staying well hydrated is basic, but really important for helping your liver do its job effectively. Keeps the system running smoothly.
Amazing how foundational things matter so much. Okay, last one. This is about prevention, ignoring hepatitis vaccinations and safe practices. This is about protecting against known viral threats, right?
Absolutely critical and largely preventable. Hepatitis B and C infections are major global causes of chronic liver disease. They can lead directly to cirrhosis and liver cancer. It's devastating. The World Health Organization's data is sobering: over 1 million deaths annually from Hep B and C combined. And the real tragedy is, many of these are preventable through vaccination, particularly for hepatitis B, which is safe and effective. Or they're treatable if caught early. So getting vaccinated, practicing safe sex, using clean needles if applicable, these are incredibly important direct actions to protect your liver from serious viral damage. It's about avoiding that preventable burden.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a huge range. diet, activity, medication, supplements, hydration, even preventing infections. It really highlights how being mindful of these things, based on what the scientific literature tells us, empowers us, gives us the power to make better choices for our liver health, doesn't it?
It really does. Informed choices are key. Understanding how these everyday habits, even subtle ones, add up is crucial for protecting this vital organ. And that, in turn, boosts your overall well-being significantly. And, just a reminder, regular checkups, maybe including liver function tests if your doctor thinks it's needed, are always a good idea for early detection. Your liver works hard, but it definitely benefits from your conscious effort to support it.
Absolutely. So, considering everything we've talked about today, from the impact of that extra drink to the sugar hiding in foods to just drinking enough water, what's maybe one small informed change you, the listener, can commit to starting today? Something your liver will genuinely thank you for down the road. Often it's those small steps that make the biggest difference. Thank you so much for joining us for this Ayur Times podcast. We really hope this exploration gave you some valuable insights for your liver health. To stay updated and join us for more discussions, please subscribe to the Ayur Times channel.